Welcome back to another riveting episode of Thesis Statement, everybody. The only show... I am Josh Price, your totally unhinged and yet pretending to keep it together host, at least according to my therapist, Dr. Ted Ebert III. Even though his degree is imaginary and his insides are stuffed with fluff, I believe him when he says we're making great progress. Any hoozle, I'm back on my bullshit. Today, I'll be dismantling... The Disney Channel original movie High School Musical came out in 2006, and I'm pretty sure the whole world saw it, so I'm not discussing the plot as a whole. Rather, I am going to spend an exorbitant amount of time discussing the things that no one should spend any amount of time thinking about. Starting out with the obvious observation, the Wonder Twins are gross. It would appear that they are trying out for the romantic pair in a theater production called Twinkle Town, which is obviously a gritty R-rated musical about two star-crossed lovers who learn to fly and then terrorize an elf village in the North Pole. And it's definitely a sequel to Urinetown, because I said so and you can't prove me wrong. The twins are trying out for a pair of roles which imply a romantic connection, and that's gross on its own, but they seem a little too comfortable with it, like they've done this before. How many times have they played Romeo and Juliet that this is just kind of their thing? Because not only does Mrs. Darvis accept this arrangement, she expects it. Looks forward to it even. Which brings me to possibly a worse realization. Mrs. Darvis upends a meticulously planned school event schedule so that a brother and sister can play love interest in a school play. Maybe if that stupid principal played a modicum of attention to his theater department instead of playing trash can basketball in his office all day long, he'd realize the kinds of relationships his school is promoting. I never changed the board. Okay, moving on. Kind of zooming out from the first film to the trilogy as a whole, I'd like to discuss Troy and Gabriella. Trabriella, if you will. They are fundamentally toxic together, and we are brainwashed into thinking that this is totally rad. Gabriella is especially problematic. Okay, so she helps Troy discover his love for musical theater, but I think the MC at that New Year's Eve party deserves just as much credit for Troy's blossoming musical desires. These two jerk each other around for 3 movies, playing the will they won't they game as an already established couple. We know they will, they already did. But in every single movie, we have at least one song and 2 sequences about how they're gonna break up and go their separate ways, whatever. Take the first installment, for example. Breakup decides that she's gonna be the nerd queen, and Troy's gonna follow his dreams of playing with balls. Naturally, Troy rejects this decision and attempts to break into her house. This, works? I mean, Troy is a beautiful 19-year-old high school junior. Pulling the old say-anything move is generally met with kisses rather than police reports when you look like the statue of a Greek demigod come to life. Then, in the second film, Troy is given an opportunity to practice with a college basketball team, and, more importantly, gets a chance at a big scholarship. Krabby Gabby says, "But we're supposed to have a date." And Troy explains, "Yeah, I know, I'm changing my plans last minute. I'm sorry, but this is kind of a big deal. I can't pass this up." Gabriella decides she needs to leave Troy, and he's changed too much. Because you know how before he was a basketball boy who loved basketball and wanted to get into basketball college? Well, now he's a basketball boy who loves basketball and has a chance to go to basketball college. What? The horror of it all. How dare he change and be exactly the same person as before?
Man, Dashboard was right. Life really is hard for the belle of the boulevard.
I bet Chris Carrabba feels really vindicated right now. He feels really vindicated right now. No? Okay. So Troy, in order to win her back, throws away his entire future, and this also works.
This bitch.
If this is the love story for a generation, there's going to be a whole bunch of awkwardly musical couples counseling sessions. Then in the third movie, Gabby the baddie gets accepted to her super nerd college and decides...
You've got to be kidding me.
What the movie wants you to think is Gabriella is putting her academics first, and she's taking the scholarship and open enrollment at the cost of her relationship with Troy. But what she's really doing is saying, sorry I made you buy those prom tickets and put on this final theatrical performance where we star as ourselves in a story about our lives and how in love we are, but I'm gonna bail on all of that plus graduation. Peace out. Have a good life, Troy with the good hair. Troy, being the cripplingly codependent person that he is, drives across state lines to win her back. Then, during his graduation speech, picks a college where he can be close to Gabriella, play basketball, and perform in the theater. God, this guy's gonna burn out young. Which brings me to the thing that's really been rolling around in my head for the last 6 months. Jason. No, not the murderous monster from Camp Lake Blood and Death. This guy.
I'm Jason.
If you look at the HSM trilogy from his perspective, it is a story of tragedy, betrayal, and triumph. In the first film, it's made clear from his very first on-screen appearance that Jason actually likes school. He cares about his teachers, he's invested in his high school education. He never really seems fully on board with the plot to break up Troy and Gabriella, and yet he winds up going along because, well, when you're in high school and your friends do something stupid, you can't let them ruin their lives alone. Yet, despite just simply being present for the crimes, he's one of the primary 3 teammates to go and apologize to Troy to make things better. He winds up sharing a major portion of the blame for things he really didn't agree to. But he does it without complaining because Jason's just a good guy. Then, at the end of the first movie, he is kind of an adorable meet-cute with Kelsey, the pianist and composer of the titular High School Musical, after everyone else gets their unforgivably improbable happy endings. And side note, seriously, the end of the first High School Musical is a happy ending wet dream. Everybody gets what they want, and they all get as close to Bone Town as Disney Channel allows.
By the second film, it's clear that his friends' extracurricular activities are affecting his grade. He's painted as this lovable dummy.
But rather than address his academic needs, Miss Darvis and the rest of his educators ship him off to find a summer job. His teachers, in this clearly well-funded school district, care so little about the education of this struggling student that in his junior year, they force upon him the idea that he will be nothing more than a simple laborer. Now, obviously, I have nothing against jobs that don't require a degree. I don't have a degree, so I know firsthand the kind of skill necessary for some of these jobs. But from the school standpoint, they give up on him, and they shut him out from being able to reach for one of those other jobs by shortchanging his learning experience. And this is played as a joke in at least 2 of the 3 High School Musicals. High Schools Musical? High Schools Musicals. In HSM 3, when he finally does graduate, everyone is shocked. Jason, left to his own devices by his teachers and his friends, somehow found a way to educate himself enough to get that paper.
I'm proud of you, you know that.
And for my final point, these aren't even my notes. This is just a crudely drawn picture of Zac Efron, which is really disappointing. I had such a good closing argument. Class dismissed, I guess. Thanks for watching. This is YouTube, so you know the deal. Hit the like button, subscribe button, the bell icon so you can be notified every time we put up a new episode. If you'd like to support us more directly, hop down into the description box where you'll find a link to our Patreon. Go to the next video. The link is like there or one of those down there. I'm out of here.